Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for yet another video talking about that wonderful Chelsea performance last night in a bit more detail than the 6 Things We Learned series that is my immediate after the match review reaction series. This is the player ratings, Chelsea 2, Atletico Madrid 0, going through every single Chelsea player in a bit more detail on the pitch. If you're not yet subscribed to GBFC, I would love to ask you to do so. And why not go and sign up for GBFC Selects, which is my game that is free to play every single time Chelsea play. And there's £1,000 to be won if you're 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Please gamble responsibly. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. What an incredible win this is. It's currently about 40 minutes after I posted the 6 Things We Learned video. And I normally record the player ratings once I've gone back, watched a load of highlights, listened to what the so-called in-the-know people in football say about the players to see if there was anything that the naked eye when I watched it missed. But I thought for this one, because I watched that game very closely, it was very difficult not to, not just because of how big of a match it was, but because it was played at such an intensity. And when your team is the team that are controlling that intensity, it makes it even more enjoyable to watch it. And I think that over the course of the 2 legs against Atletico, Chelsea have shown that all of that money that we spent in the summer, that throughout the course of this season, I might have questioned it, you might have questioned it, rival fans and just football fans in general who want to see it fail, they've all questioned it. And in this performance, I feel as though it's a coming of age performance from Chelsea. Whether we get past the last 8 or not and make it to the semis and the final of this year's Champions League, there is massive progress that has been made from this team. And the first goal is the epitome of that. You know, it's Havertz to Werner to Ziyech, all of Chelsea's new signings combining. And I thought we would start off, of course, with the goalkeeper, who is another one of Chelsea's new signings. Another clean sheet for Edouard Mendy. I don't really know what more this guy can do at the moment to endear within the hearts of Chelsea fans. It was another perfect display from Edouard Mendy. There were a couple of times in the first half where the ball was at his feet and I got a little bit worried, but again, he dealt with everything superbly well. The save at the end of the game to deny João Felix is a phenomenal save. He's done brilliantly to keep that one out. And I think it's credit to him, you know, that he comes away against one of Europe's best opposition with 2 clean sheets to his name. Edouard Mendy, superb all year round, and I've actually given him a 9.5. The only reason I didn't give him a 10 is because there were moments where my heart just kind of and breathe. But other than that, it was an absolutely flawless performance. We move into the captain, Azpilicueta, who was just phenomenal again. The whole Chelsea team today, the average rating is incredibly high. And I gave Azpi a 9 out of 10. And of course, he starts the next game for me. I wouldn't change anything from what I saw today, apart from maybe further up the field. We'll talk about that later. But Azpilicueta, every single game that Tuchel's managed at Chelsea, Azpilicueta's been in there. And there was that moment where Atletico Madrid arguably could have had a penalty when Azpi, you know, the pass back and then it kind of grabbed his hand around the other side. It doesn't matter because it wasn't given, but that could have really changed things for Chelsea. You know, he's the last man, could have been a red card, penalty, and it would have changed the entire complexity of the game. But it wasn't given, so therefore it shouldn't really be talked about. Azpilicueta was brilliant, gave him a 9 just because that was a heart attack moment again from me. So it's like personal ratings in terms of how I felt watching the player play. We move into Kurt Zouma, who came in today for Christensen, who unfortunately fell ill before the game. I think it was like cold, fever kind of things. Don't think it's COVID, so I'll report on that when I do know here on GBFC. But I gave Zouma an 8.5. I thought he was absolutely excellent again. There's been times this season, obviously we know, where Zouma gets forward and he's a very good attacking outlet for Chelsea. Didn't see that so much today from him, but again, he comes into the side whenever someone comes into the team in this defence at the moment. The job that they do is absolutely excellent, and I thought it was a near flawless display again from Kurt Zouma. I gave him an 8.5 because I wanted to be able to juxtapose Zouma to Rudiger, who Rudiger was just phenomenal in this game. I would say that this is my favourite ever Rudiger performance in a Chelsea shirt. The thing I love the most is the antagonistic side of Rudiger's game that we always know, like, he's Mr. Hustle, he's Mr. Try and get under the skin of the opposition. It's an important asset to have as a footballer, particularly I feel as a centre-back. But when you can do it in a way that doesn't get the referee noticing that you're doing it, but also seriously digs underneath the skin of the opposing player that you're trying to antagonise, when it's managed the way that Rudiger managed it today, it's one of those off-the-ball things in football that you can't quantify. You can't, you can't measure housery through statistics. There's not a numerical figure that can show how important Rudiger getting under the Atletico player's skin was, but at the same time, you could also argue that all of the bookings that Atletico Madrid got were because players like Rudiger in particular were constantly trying to antagonise them, constantly trying to wind them up so that fouls came in harder, which means that the referee is more likely to produce a yellow card. And it was a 10 out of 10 performance from Rudiger today. João Felix, Luis Suarez, Angel Correa, they're not jokes of strikers and attackers. You know, these are top quality footballers in the world we live in. And Rudiger, rumour has it, he still has them in his back pocket and his front right at this moment. Fantastic from Tony Rudiger. We move into Reece James, who I thought was absolutely excellent today. Reece James, there are still moments where I feel as though he kind of still needs to grow into his body is the wrong thing to say because we know he's a big, strong lad, but grow into his professionalism is something I would say quite frequently about Reece James, because we see that he has it in his locker to put in a flawless, controlled performance, but sometimes we see the odd mistake. I thought tonight it was the perfect example of how quality and great of a footballer Reece James is. I gave him a 9 out of 10, and I think it's definitely a green light as well in terms of whether he starts the game against Sheffield United. It's a different one with this one because it's an FA Cup quarter-final, which by no means isn't. It's still a very important game. And we also don't have a football after this for 2 weeks, which is also a bit of a nightmare. But I think Tuchel goes with the strongest 11 for this game against Sheffield United. So bearing that in mind, I think Reece James starts. I thought, again, he's coming up against some very strong Atletico players. Yannick Carrasco, very good footballer, and Reece James didn't give him a sniff. Also, Lodi going forward as well, the Brazilian left-back for Atletico. He's a very good attacking player. Reece James not only managed to deal with all of that defensive duty that he had, but he got forward on various occasions as well. It's a 9 out of 10 performance from Reece, and we move into another 9 out of 10 performance for the left wing-back, Marcos Alonso. What an amazing turn of events it's been for Marcos Alonso. We remember a year ago, Bayern Munich in the Champions League Last 16, Chelsea humiliated by the eventual champions of Europe, Bayern Munich. Marcos Alonso gets himself a red card and everybody is saying they never want to see him play in a Chelsea shirt again. Credit where credit is due. Marcos Alonso, since Thomas Tuchel has came in, has become an important yet pivotal member of Thomas Tuchel's side. Ben Chilwell, 50 million plus signing in the summer, can't get in the team. And not because he's injured or playing that badly, but because Marcos Alonso is putting in a wonderful shift whenever we see him out on the field. I thought going forward, he was great and he got into good positions and tried to influence himself as much as he could. But defensively, brilliant. The shape and how he managed himself, again, the in-game management individually from players right now at Chelsea, for me, is the key reason why we're doing so well. You know, we can put it all down to little tactical nuance things here, tactical nuance there, but the in-game management of each player, for example, Alonso, someone who we know isn't always the quickest and best at managing his stamina, fantastic. Like, he's doing everything perfectly, and it was a 9 out of 10 from him, and I also put him in a green box alongside Reece James in the 6 Things We Learnt video. Alonso is keeping Chilwell out the side. At the moment, I think maybe Chilwell does start the FA Cup game because he obviously only got like 30 seconds of game time tonight. Alonso cannot fault him. He was absolutely superb. We move into the Chelsea midfielders. We are going to start with the absolute gargantuan maestro who goes by the name of N'Golo Kante. 10 out of 10. It's very rare, you know, in football that you can say a player was perfect or near perfect. And I think Kante tonight, it looked as though there was 11 N'Golo Kantes on the field. Anytime Atletico had the ball in a central area, you know, we're talking Saul Niguez, we're talking Koke, we're talking some of the best midfielders in the world, supposedly, because N'Golo Kante is on the block and West London is his domain. He was fantastic, wasn't he? Every time Atletico had the ball, he was there to win it back. I said it against Leeds. I love this little turn of shoulder and, you know, Kante looks like he's going right, goes left. We saw that again tonight as well. In terms of controlling the tempo of Chelsea's midfield, it's not always been Kante's job. Whenever Jorginho's in the side, we would say that Jorginho controls the tempo of Chelsea's fluidity. Kovacic, when he's in the side, we'd say the same for him. Kante did all of that today, controlled the tempo, won the ball back, put in tackles, was in the right place, the right time. 10 out of 10 performance from N'Golo Kante. The traffic light system in today's video is a bit of a weird one because I have no idea what Tuchel's going to do for the FA Cup tie, but for the majority of Chelsea players who played in this match today, they do not deserve to lose their place. So it is yet again a green light for N'Golo Kante. We move into the second of the Double K partnership, Mateo Kovacic, the Croatian. Brilliant again. Like, this is why player ratings is so much more enjoyable, to go into more depth and detail about the individuals once we've won the game, instead of a 0-0 draw against Leeds. So I hope you're enjoying this video so far. Mateo Kovacic, I did think again, was absolutely brilliant. I've given him a 9 out of 10. In the centre of the park for Chelsea, you know, I looked at that Atletico Madrid lineup. They had a lot of their best players back in the side, you know. Jimenez, who's been linked with Chelsea centre-back. Not interested, mate, you know. He almost broke Kai Havertz's leg out there today. Exaggeration, he didn't really. But Kovacic in the middle. Kante was the standout player, but I thought that Kovacic did more than a brilliant job once again, and he gets himself a 9 out of 10. The question at the moment is, who plays? Is it Kante? Is it Kova? Is it Jorginho? And we found out from Thomas Tuchel in recent interviews that he spoke with all three of these players, explaining that not all of them will be able to start every game for Chelsea, which is a given in the system and shape we're playing in. But he explained to them that game by game against certain opposition, or depending on what's needed in terms of fitness or movement, all three of them are going to feature. And lo and behold, Thomas Tuchel was stuck by that. And Jorginho was obviously suspended tonight, so he couldn't have played anyway. But Kovacic comes in, puts in a near flawless display once more. And we move into a man who I have been very harsh on, people have said here on GBFC. I'm talking about, of course, Hakim Ziyech. People have said that I've been very harsh. I stand by everything I've said up until this point. But Ziyech tonight, I thought he was a key figure in this Chelsea team when he was on the field. One of the first players to come off. And people were saying, like, yeah, despite the goal, like, he almost missed that. Like, forget it. If a goal goes in the back of the net, I don't care how close it was. It's a goal. And there was a couple of moments before the goal where Ziyech was trying to play these little incisive passes and they weren't quite working. However, I still loved it from Hakim Ziyech, because what I read from this game in the early stages was that Chelsea weren't going to just sit back and try and defend the 1-0 lead that we took from the away leg from Giroud's remarkable overhead kick. We were going to try and control the possession, which we successfully did. We were also going to wait very patiently for the moments in which we try to make that incisive final third pass. Hakim Ziyech was the kingpin in all of that for Chelsea. When Kante, Kova were winning the ball back, Havertz was carrying the ball forward with his, you know, his long legs and his ability to run with it. Hakim Ziyech was the man who, when he got that ball in the final third or in the centre of the park, he was then trying to make that final incisive pass. He was very close on numerous occasions, and I loved seeing him try that. But the goal is absolutely massive for his confidence. I think it's his first goal that he scored at Stamford Bridge, and his first Champions League goal since he was back at Ajax, and he scored in May of 2019. I gave Ziyech a 9 out of 10. I thought it was brilliant from him today. I've given him a yellow light, but I think he probably did enough today to deserve to start against Sheffield United. But I think realistically, we'll see Thomas Tuchel rotate with both Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi, who were on the bench today, coming into the starting 11 for that it's a quarter-final against Sheffield United at the weekend. Brilliant from Ziyech. Absolutely delighted that he managed to get that goal tonight, setting Chelsea underway. And we move into the man who I thought was brilliant again tonight, Mr. Kai Havertz. Mason Mount not in the team. Very big worry for me before the game. I thought we might miss his industry, we'll miss his energy. Kai Havertz, he did everything that Mason Mount has been doing all season long. His energy tonight was fantastic. When he had the ball, he very rarely gave it away. There were a couple of passes that didn't quite make the man that he was looking for or intending, but when he had the ball and he was trying to shield it from a very aggressive Atletico Madrid team, they were going in hard on tackles. They don't give you any time and space on the ball. One of their key elements of their game is to close players down, to try and win the ball back, to soak up the pressure that they so often come under. Kai Havertz was brilliant. His importance and role in the goal, absolutely excellent again. I think it was a coming of age, professional young performance tonight from Kai Havertz. Kante gets the ball out to him. Havertz is there, breaking away. We see his legs just gangly, but just going forward with it. And he plays the perfectly weighted ball into Timo Werner, who does the rest and gives it to Ziyech. I think overall, we are starting to understand the importance that Kai Havertz will have throughout his Chelsea career at our football club. I think he's a player with so much ability on the ball. I love it. Like, there was you remember Nemanja Matic when he was at Chelsea, when sometimes he kind of like caressed the ball with his left leg and foot when making a pass. I see those kind of, like, I'm not saying like comparing Matic and Havertz directly, but I'm talking about that little nuanced thing of like how he manages to pass it with his left. Do you understand what I mean? I hope you do. But I thought it was a very good performance again from Havertz today. Lots of great young players on the field for both sides, but Havertz was the man who stole the show. I gave him a 9.5 out of 10, and I think at the moment, he's almost undroppable. Wasn't the best performance as a lone striker against Leeds, but we are not here to talk about that. The man who came back in today as striker was Timo Werner. He didn't get his goal again, however, he gets the assist for Hakim Ziyech, and once more, an absolute nuisance for those Atletico Madrid defenders. Timo Werner tonight, I thought, was incredibly important to how Chelsea controlled and dominated this game. Atletico Madrid were very reluctant to give him any space, which actually took multiple defenders out of the game whenever Timo Werner was either on the ball or attempting to be on the ball in the final third. One thing I absolutely love about Timo's game is that we don't necessarily always need to see him score, because if that was the case and we were just judging Timo Werner based off of goals, we would be a little bit disappointed, granted, at this point. However, his off-the-ball work again was brilliant, trying to make those in behind the defensive line runs, and he caused Atletico some problems. We saw on numerous occasions that his pace against defenders who are defending against him one-on-one is breathtaking at times, and I thought it was excellent tonight from Timo. Gave him a 9 out of 10. I think the goals are coming. You know, I think as long as he's still important to the side and he's creating opportunities and giving assists to other teammates as well, if he's not scoring, we can definitely let it go. But performance again tonight, absolutely brilliant. We move into a man who, again, you guys are going to get crazy at me for actually, you know, bringing the level down slightly here. I'm talking about Christian Pulisic, who came on and he had quite a bit of time to impress, but I feel as though he gave the ball away a little too many times. I don't want to focus on this for too long. I'll give him Pulisic a 6.5. You know, he came off the bench, didn't really influence things that massively or have that big of an important role in what Chelsea did whilst he was on the pitch. I don't think it's anything to worry about, don't get me wrong. I'm simply taking it from how I witnessed it when I watched the game. 6.5 for Pulisic, but I think it's a green light because I think he starts against Sheffield United and hopefully he can be a match winner for us going into that FA Cup game. We move into Callum Hudson-Odoi. Had slightly less time, and I've also given him a 6.5. Again, it's very unfair. You know, with these substitutions, obviously there is one that we will talk about who definitely gets a much higher rating in this one, but for Hudson-Odoi, again, I think he was probably unlucky not to be starting the game. If we focus more on like the things that he couldn't control, I do think Callum was very unlucky not to be in the starting 11 today for Chelsea, but gave him a 6.5 as well. Thought he did well when he came on. I think Chelsea contained things very well once Atletico Madrid went down to 10 men. And we move forward into the man who scored a Champions League knockout football goal with his very first touch of the ball. And for that reason, he skyrockets himself into a 10 out of 10. And I would actually say that this goal from Emerson is enough to get him the start in the game against Sheffield United. You know, I'm not here saying that we should be giving out charity appearances because it's an FA Cup game. Emerson proved that when called upon, you know, he posts pictures on Instagram saying work harder, keep working hard and all this stuff. And he's one of those players that goes under the radar, I think, at Chelsea. We've got Chilwell in there, we've had Alonso who's broken back into the team, and we kind of forget that Emerson is there sometimes, I think. And I think tonight it was you know, an all-round joyous moment to see somebody who has been on the fringes, who's not been getting that much time, come in and make, you know, just send us into raptures as Chelsea fans. If we were there in Stamford Bridge tonight, I'm telling you now, it would be a monumental evening to be a Chelsea fan at the game. Emerson sends the crowd into delirium. It's a 10 out of 10 performance. And just for that alone, I would start him in the game against Sheffield United, back the lad, stick him in the team. And Ben Chilwell also came on, and I gave Chilwell a 7 simply because this is a very sad reason to give Chilwell a higher rating than Pulisic and Callum, but the celebration with Emerson. It's like, you know, snatch and grab, you go into the shop, you know, you steal a flipping chocolate bar, you run out and you eat it because you and your mates ain't got any money. Bad idea, by the way. If you don't have any cash to buy chocolate, don't go steal. It's very, very bad, but, you know, it kind of, the image is in my mind. But Chilwell comes on, manages to celebrate with Emerson. He's on the field at the end. And yeah, not really much else to talk about. There was no time to talk about either of those two players really, but it was absolutely brilliant to see them both come on and walk off as victors. Chelsea 2, Atletico Madrid 0. This has been a much longer player ratings video than all of the other ones we've done so far. If you are here right at the end, then let me know in the comments down below what your player ratings were for each Chelsea player, and start talking to me about who you want to see Chelsea draw in the quarter-finals. Let me go off the top of my head. We've got Porto, Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain, and then of course Chelsea. I would say, from looking at things early, the dream is that Bayern and Man City draw one another, so that one of them gets knocked out in line for the semi-final. Porto are the weak link in there, I think. No disrespect to them. Obviously, they got an incredible scout by beating Juventus. But Porto's the one we want. In terms of the narrative, Dortmund would be wonderful because hopefully we can go and beat Erling Haaland and then he signs for the Blues. But at this point in time, any tie is going to be difficult. However, from what I've seen from this Chelsea team across both of these legs against Atletico Madrid, I would back us to at least give any of the sides left in this competition a good game. And I want to make it very clear here on GBFC that no matter what happens between now and Chelsea either winning or exiting the Champions League, at whatever stage it may be from this point moving forwards, I'm incredibly proud of this Chelsea team. And as of right now, as quarter-finalists, this is what I was hoping for at the beginning of the season. I wanted us to progress beyond the last 16. We've done that by beating one of the best sides in Europe, and I'm absolutely delighted. Thank you guys for watching today's video. If you are still here, as I said about a minute ago, but hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you all later. Get in. Come on, you Blues.